Hi there, and welcome back to my channel. I'm reporting live from my tiny home, and she's known as Myrtle the Vagabond Turtle. So I started this channel to talk about living tiny, frugal living, how to get by in this crazy world, and to continue to be an artist when it's just so difficult just to live. So that was the premise of this channel, and here we are, video number 2. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate that. If you like it, subscribe and hit like, because I guess that's what people say on these things. All right, so things that are life-changing that have really helped me positively move forward. The first thing is reading, and specifically reading nonfiction. Why? Because there's all kinds of things in this world that I don't know. And there's really no excuse if you don't know it, because the information is out there. So I used to be a school teacher, and, you know, I was very clear with my students about this. Like, you don't have to know the answer off the top of your head. You just have to know where to get the information. So currently I'm very interested in real estate. That's something I'm going to be doing this year. I had a home previously, and I sold it when I left teaching, because I knew that things were going to change for me drastically financially, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to continue to make those payments. So I did separate myself from the house, and it was really great because with my own personal style, I guess, ended up in a bidding war, and it sold in 2 days. And I had taken the garage and I had turned it into a theater, and isn't that all fun and games? So I felt very strongly about my own design abilities. And so it's been something that I've wanted to do, where I've wanted to specifically invest in vintage real estate. And I don't want to think of myself as a gentrifier or anything. Like, I actually want to save the homes that are there in historic neighborhoods and make them fabulous for people, yet make them affordable, and keep the people living there that feel like and are being displaced out of a neighborhood. So that is my goal, and that's what I'm working towards. So that is what I read a lot right now. Currently, what am I reading? I don't want to say like really exciting book, because it's not like you're reading a book about pirates and sex, you know. It's like, you know, it's a nonfiction title. This is The Hands-Off Investor by Brian Burke, and it's about real estate syndication. If you don't know what a real estate syndication is, well, guess what? You can read about it. But no, it is one of the forms of investing in real estate where you are not the sole owner, yet you're getting dividends from the investment. So that's what I'm reading about right now, even though I plan to have single family homes and multifamily homes as well. So I'm in 2023 purchasing my first one of those. Never owned a multifamily home before, so I'm super excited and reading a lot about such things. So number 2 also has to do with real estate, is one of the habits that I've had for a very, very long time, having been a career performer, is I have multiple streams of income. So I don't rely on having just one job, and I really never have. It's been very rare in my life that I've only had one stream of income, and that was totally out of necessity. That's just, you know, being an actor with survival jobs, and you have this and you have that, you're a barista and you're a caterer, and you're a bartender, you're doing hair, and, you know, all of these different things, just so you can have that flexible schedule and get to shows and all this. Well, guess what? It ended up being a really fabulous time management lesson to me on really how to schedule my time and how to schedule, prioritize things. And also, if I lost one, it wasn't necessarily the end of the world, where I think a lot of people unfortunately put all those eggs into one basket, and they were like, oh, I am an accountant. And when that company goes out of business, and they're like, well, I'm looking for another job as an accountant. And things can go south really quickly when you have zero income. So if you talk to people who have at least $1 million worth of net worth, which is really not that much, honestly, when people are like, oh my God, they're a millionaire. It's actually not that much money in the scheme of things, and that's pretty scary to think about. But there are a lot of millionaires in this world, and they'll all tell you the average is they have at least 7 forms of income. Not every single one has to be equal. It's not that all 7 of them are coming in and making equal amounts. Some of them are long-term investments, some of them are short, but you want to make sure that you are investing your time and energy and assets into multiple sources of income. I listed off some that I have done. I'm a licensed cosmetologist, I'm a licensed bartender, I'm a licensed food manager, I'm doing data analytics, I've done a lot. Retail, high-end retail, low-end retail. I've been a manager at Target. I've sold underwear at Neiman Marcus. I mean, you name it. And it's important not only to see life from other people's shoes, when you're the customer and you're kind of like seeing what's happening, or when you are ordering food and you know what's happening in the kitchen. But also, I think it's important to have a lot of different skills because they do come in handy in different life situations, especially time management and prioritizing things. I found, like, when I was a teacher, there were people who, that's all they'd done. They'd never done anything else. They had just taught. And so there were these other soft skills that you get in other professions that they did not have them. It was, a little just too much. And so every year at the end of the school year, it's like, did you get a contract? Did you get a contract? You were like fighting for your job. And what a terrible way to be. I mean, that's a whole nother video. The way that they treat teachers, not just the parents, but just the way it's set up. It's very messed up in this country now. So I'm not a teacher any longer. I met wonderful kids. I have great people in my life because of it, but never again. All right, so number 3, kind of like the teacher thing, hanging with like-minded people. So most of the teachers that I encountered were not my people. And that's okay. But your life will change pretty dramatically if you're around like-minded people. And so it's kind of like what your grandma said, where it was like, people are going to judge you based on the company you keep. It's true in many different ways, but you do pick up really good habits, knowledge, information from those that you surround yourself with. And being around people who are supportive and people that are positive does make a huge impact on your mental health and your self-esteem, way more than you can ever imagine. So it's a great habit. Number 4 is having an emergency fund. Is that the funnest thing to talk about? The biggest? No, it's not fun to talk about building an emergency fund, but I guess what? When your car breaks down and you have no other way to get around, you're going to be really glad that you did have one. So during the pandemic, I lost everything, and I lost every single ability that I had to make money. And so it was really scary because it went on for quite a while. And so I have made that a big priority in my life, building up an emergency fund, because it was really scary. Even though I had all these skills, everything I had was people facing. So I actually had to learn behind the computer skills to continue on. And it had been a goal of mine anyway, because I wanted to have the ability to have a digital job so that I could become a digital nomad. And like, isn't that a fun buzzword? But it's true, and now I am. And I live in the desert, kind of in the middle of nowhere, in an artist colony with like-minded people. And it's great. It's wonderful. And so I'm snowbirding. This is my first stop for the winter. And so then I head up north with the weather when, the weather improves. So, hey, it's my first stop. People don't know what a snowbird is. Or they're like, what are you, like 75? You know what? You don't have to wait until you're elderly or old to travel. Traveling is incredible, and it informs a lot about myself, having traveled all over and been to multiple countries, multiple continents. Like, it makes you worldly. That's kind of where that term comes from. So I prioritize traveling, and I think it's weird that it's only normalized for, you know, retirees to travel around. So I'm like, no, I finally worked it out where I got the job that travels with me. And that's so cool. Persistence. Persistence is a habit that I have. And it tends to be that, you know, somebody punches you in the face and you just keep going. But no, it's so true. Every time you start something, anytime you go for something new, whenever you try something you've never done before, you probably aren't going to be the best at it. You probably aren't going to do very well, and you're probably going to look like an idiot. And that's okay, because you get up and you dust yourself off and you do it all over again, like Frank Sinatra said. And over time, that is what separates artists who are successful from artists who aren't. Because so many people are like, well, that didn't work out for me, I'm just gonna give up. And that's great. There's so much creativity in the world. There's so much talent. And the fact that so few people continue with it persistently is the reason why so many people are like, well, you know, there's not that many talented people in the world. I think that's the coolest thing about YouTube. People are like, I had no idea all these people were so talented. And it's like, it doesn't take as much persistence any longer because you could just put yourself up yourself. I remember finding out about YouTube. I was in my agent's office and she was like, yeah, my husband and his comedy partner are doing this thing and it's called YouTube and you put yourself up there. And I was like, what? Oh, wow, that sounds interesting. Yeah. And it sort of revolutionized entertainment. So, all right. Next habit is investing. I know I talked about that with the book just a minute ago, but I, especially with the pandemic, have really understood what people meant when they say, make your money, make money. Don't tie how much money you're earning with how many hours you are working. That sounds really simple, but it was a really hard concept to understand. I'm getting really red. I think I'm like burning in here. I think the sun is like burning me. It's part of being a redhead. I need to get my sun lotion. Okay. Investing. So, it doesn't matter what you're investing in. I have multiple things I'm investing in this year. Just the point is that you're putting money into something that can earn while you are asleep, that can earn on the weekend, that can earn passively or semi-passively. I no longer tie things to how many hours I'm working. And when I lived in Los Angeles and I was a struggling actor, you know, I had so many jobs and I worked so hard. I burnt myself out bad because every hour that I worked was $1 or $10 or $15 or however much I was making at the time. And it's unsustainable if you have a lofty goal or if you were trying to attain something larger than just sustainability. So, I mean, that's why they call them survival jobs. They just pay for survival. But I had bigger plans. And so, to me, in my mind at the time, it was like, well, I just need to like get more jobs. I need to work more hours. And that I learned the hard way. That wasn't the answer. It wasn't the answer at all. But I'm learning, getting better. And so I'm excited about some ventures that I'm doing this year. And I'm doing them with people, so I don't feel so alone. You know, and it's like, oh, you want to join in this risky thing with me and share some of the responsibility? It'll be fun. All right, number 7. Get up early and work out. So they have this whole idea of like the 5 a.m. club. You gotta get up at 5 a.m. I do. I really do. I get up at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I was never that person growing up. I think it has something to do with the cats running across my face at night. But I get up. I do. And make stuff happen. I'm working really hard to censor myself for YouTube. I don't think I've said any cuss words. I think I've been pretty good. And I just consciously monitored myself just now. So, yes, getting up, making my bed, putting my clothes away, and doing the dishes. All of these things sound super rudimentary, but they clear my mind so that I really can focus and think about what it is that I need to do for the rest of the day. And I find I'm super productive. So if I get up and move the body, and body in motion tends to stay in motion. All right, so those are the positive habits. What keeps you poor? What keeps you down? What keeps you from moving forward? Because people are like, oh, money is terrible and eat the rich and everything. Like, okay, but money, all money does is give you options. So that's a good thing. Having options, especially when things are down, is a really good thing. So do I think that some people are evil with their money? Yes. But it doesn't necessarily mean money is evil. Just people suck. Okay. So, number one, not knowing your financial situation. So, the good news, it can only get better from there, right? But the bad news is, it's scary. It's scary to put it out on paper how much you really owe, who you owe, how long you've owed, how long you've owed them. All right, number two, not staying informed about the world and the overall economy, because it's a global situation. It really is. So if things are affecting Ukraine, we will feel it. I think a lot of people have figured that out lately, even though they tend to blame the wrong people for it, but whatever. They're starting to realize it is global and it is important to know what's going on in the world. All right, number three is being in debt. There is good debt and there is bad debt. Good debt is when you're buying an asset that's going to make you money. Bad debt is when you are putting something on a card because you can't afford it. You're going to pay it off eventually, but you're probably going to pay a whole lot in interest. And that's something, especially in my 20s, I learned. So I don't actually have any credit cards. I don't have any credit cards. I have debit cards. And it might be something that I will do, but approach it very differently in the future. But for now, I just don't have any, because if I can't pay cash for it, I just don't get it. That's just that's just the way I've been, and it's kept me out of a lot of trouble. And so it also brings me to a habit that I have adopted, where I am living in this tiny home and I am living very far below my means, and that way I can get those assets that I want to invest in, and I can really move forward with what I want to do as an artist, because my money is going towards my passion and is not going into like my existence. So that was something that was really, really hard to make happen. It was hard to find the remote job. It was hard to leave the city and move to the middle of nowhere in an artist colony. You know, it was hard to get those things set up, but the truth is, if you do it for really hard for 2 or 3 years, you can move mountains with what you're trying to do. So that's a good thing. Something keeping people down, having one stream of income. We already talked about that, but it can be devastating to lose that one income. All right, not prioritizing savings, i.e. having that emergency fund, it's killer. You know, I bought a used car before and got it back, and sucker wasn't working, and it cost a lot. Yeah, having a fund. So you have a car. Spending beyond your means. So there's a difference between looking rich and being rich. So I actually know quite a few rich people. They don't necessarily look rich, but the people who try really hard to look rich usually aren't. So who is it you're trying to impress? I mean, we get one life. What is it you're going to do with it? So I prioritize making art, doing things that I want to do, travel around. And If you want to spend it trying to impress people who don't care about you one way or the other, okay. But it will keep you down for things. So experiences over things. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. And number 7, not preparing for your future. I had this boyfriend one time, and he was just like, if it's meant to be, it will happen. I'm like, no, it will happen if you plan for it. That's how things happen. Nothing is going to land in your lap. Nothing. So what is it going to prepare for? I hope that was helpful. I hope you liked it. I'll be back next week, and have a great day.